Hello everyone, my name is Mowmaster, and I am the developer of Pedestals mod for Minecraft Forge 1.16. Today we are going to continue our video documentation series, continuing on with the enchantments that you can apply to pedestal upgrades. So this is kind of a important topic because pedestal upgrades by themselves do a lot of functions. But what really makes them powerful is being able to enchant them. Enchanting is something that you can get reasonably early on, but the grind for experience is what kind of gates you from getting really good enchanted gear right off the bat. So that's kind of how these are balanced. They're balanced off of enchanting. So if you have a mod installed that makes enchanting easier, this might be a little bit of an easier process for you. But basically, pedestals are very good when you can get them fully enchanted and when you stack enchants. So, because of that, I figured I should probably run over all the different enchantments and what they do for the most part. Some will change, varied on the functions of the upgrade itself, but for the most part, they are the same across the board for the most part. Yeah. Okay. So starting off, we have Pedestal Capacity. We're going to demo that down there a little ways. Pedestal Range. So this obviously affects the range of in the area of work. And the one we're going to cover right now is Pedestal Speed. So I have a little demo set up for Pedestal Speed to kind of showcase how the speed mechanism works. So speed starts off. Typically there is I did these backwards. Typically, you have a default speed. Speed is dictated by the red tooltip. So you can see here it says normal speed. Normal speed, basically, and I was not completely prepared here, but normal speed is basically a 20 tick delay or a 1 second delay between each pedestal's operation. So whatever function a pedestal does, it's going to take 1 second in between for the default upgrade to fire. Now, if you enchant that, so this Pedestal Speed 1 is like a level 2 to level 5 enchantment roughly. It's pretty easy to get, but this doubles the speed of whatever is working. You can get Pedestal Speed 2 reasonably easily as well, and that increases your speed 4 times faster. So this is more of like a 5 tick delay, generally. Pedestal 3, that's pretty common at above 18 or 20 levels of experience. That's 6 times faster. Pedestal 4, this is you're looking at more like a level 30 enchant or pretty close there for 10 times faster, so a 2 tick delay typically. And then the fastest you can get, they're fairly rare at a level 30 enchantment, so typically you have to combine to get this. But this is 20 times faster with a 1 tick delay, so they're pretty freaking quick. This setup here, when I hit that lever, this will retract, and these droppers will drop all their items on the ground. And when this one is done, because this is the fastest one, when this one finishes, it will reactivate the pistons, stopping all the functions, and then we can examine kind of the rate at which everything was dropped. And that will kind of give us a rough feel for about how fast these are. So I'm going to click this, and you can see right away the speed difference just by looking. And this one, obviously, the whole stat came out, so that was the fastest. The next one should be about half as fast, so yeah, it's not quite 32, but pretty close. This one is just a little bit slower yet, reasonably slow, and this one only got 4 items out in that duration. So this is the slowest one clearly, and that's the default upgrade. So that is generally about how fast pedestals will operate. Granted, different pedestals based on their function speed might vary, but for the most part, that's kind of the delay between operations. So another main group that's different is your crusher, your furnace, and your sawmill. And these, because they're originally machine types, they have a slightly longer duration. The furnace being basically a 10-second delay. This is about how long it takes to smelt one item in Minecraft normally. And because you craft it with the furnace itself, I figured, why bother speeding it up at default speed? So this is the furnace upgrade. It operates the same speed as a normal Minecraft furnace, but early on, you can actually increase it. So this is speed 1, speed 2, speed 3, speed 4, speed 5. So you go from a whopping basically 10 seconds to 5 seconds, to 2.5 seconds, to just under 2.5, to 2 seconds, or no, 1 second. Ooh, 1.5. Yeah, 2.5, 1.5, 1 second, and half a second. So you can get your furnace smelting pretty darn quick as you enchant it up, and that goes the same for the other ones as well. So definitely don't get rid of your furnace upgrade, because that's probably the quickest way to smelt in Minecraft. And you can get, like I said, you can get this one reasonably easy within like 15 to 20 levels if you're lucky in an enchantment table. And honestly, I mean, that's 2.5 seconds per smelt's pretty freaking quick compared to normal Minecraft stuff. But yeah, so that is kind of the speed enchantment. It governs just how fast an upgrade performs, and like I said, the machine upgrades typically run at about 10 seconds to half a second per operation. So there you go. We're gonna keep moving on here. Our next enchantment we're gonna look at is Pedestal Range. In Pedestal Range, you can see there the demo area is massive here. Pedestal Range has two main types of upgrades that can use it. The dropper, for example, operates in more of like a horizontal or not a horizontal, a vertical depth or height, and so it only operates range in one direction. Whereas some of these other ones have area of effect. And this area of effect is obviously around the pedestal, and so it increases as the enchantment increases. And a lot of these, their height is either the same as their width, or it's scaled, like for the tree cutter upgrade, it's scaled to be a little bit taller. That way you can actually cut some of those taller trees at the highest tier. So, but yeah, I'll just demo this real quick. So, for the basic upgrades that only rely on one plane or axis for their range, typically your unenchanted one will only do it on the block right in front of the face here. And this changes based on direction. So if you place it on the ground, it'll just spawn it right on top of the pedestal. If you place it on the ceiling, it'll just drop down, one block from the ceiling. So placing it on the side, you really got to see about how long the range is. At 1, if you place this under a block, it will spawn on top of the block it's under. So it will spawn 2 blocks away from the top. The next one is 4 blocks away, 8 blocks, 12 blocks, and 16 blocks away. So that is the typical range for a lot of these. So for example, if I just do that, you see it dropped there. If I do this, drop there, right there, way over there, farther over there, and 16 blocks away. So there is a lot of uses for this range feature. One example is, and the primary example for what I originally created it for, was to, I'm trying to think what mod it was now. Applied Energistics, the crystal growth accelerators. You could make a chamber that involves 6 accelerators, but you would have to get items in there somehow. Magneting them out was pretty easy with mods because you could filter for grown crystals and then go off that. But to put items in there, you had to find some way to get them in there. And this was my solution, is I just modded in a thing that had enough range that it could do that. So that is just one use case for this. Another one would be place this upside down and have it drop fuel onto your endoflames for Britannia. That was another use case that I had for it. So instead of using the open crate, I used a pedestal because the pedestal could store a stack of material. So I didn't need a hopper and a chest attached to it to, give it fuel. And it was a little bit cheaper that way as well. So yeah, a couple of use cases for that. The next bit I'm going to cover is the planter. I'm going to have to grab a whole bunch of seeds here because I did not load these up properly. So the planter operates in an area of effect. So at default, it's a 3x3. And it kind of just slowly plants in that area. Next up is the 5x5. And this is a 5x5x5. This is actually a cubed area, and we'll get into that area at the end here. But it can do a massive area like that. The 7x7, 9x9, the 11x11. So now we're getting pretty freaking big range-wise. And lastly, the 13x13. This one's actually speed upgraded because what we have up here is because this covers a 13x13x13 cube, it should be able to plant up on this level as well because we're about 13 blocks above the pedestal, or I guess 12 blocks above the pedestal, but at level of the pedestal it's about 13 blocks up there. So this one's also sped up with a speed upgrade just to try to place these a little bit quicker, because obviously when you do a multi-layer farm, you might need things to go just a little bit quicker, and some of my crops are breaking. But you can see up here, clearly it's also planting up here. So that range is massive. So if you want to do a multi-layer farm with just one planter, totally a possibility, which is awesome. Something similar, like I said earlier, was the tree chopper. This tree chopper at max range is a 13x13. But the height is modified, so both the tree chopper and the mushroom chopper have this, where they're modified to do a slightly larger height value. And then two other upgrades that have a modified height are the milker and the shearer. They only do up to 2 blocks, so the pedestal height and then 1 block above the pedestal. So those are the only two differences in height, but otherwise the area of effect XZ values, they change according to the enchantment. But just for example, how big of an area this is, as you can see, it just demolished that jungle tree just now, and it only left the leaves that are outside of its block range. So pretty crazy how big of a tree farm you could run with one of these. And you wouldn't even have to put this on the ground. You could put this up in the air pointing downwards, and then you could plant as many trees on here as you want without the pedestal interfering with any of the growth area, so to speak. So yeah, you could just go crazy with this thing, which is awesome. But that basically covers up the range. Obviously, the range works in general in two different ways, either an area of effect or a height depth range. And yeah, you can get some pretty sick sized farms when you get those higher level enchantments. So last but not least, we're going to talk about the pedestal capacity. This capacity is basically how many items a pedestal upgrade can manipulate at one time. So I have a few examples here where our pedestals are sucking up items out of a creative drawer, and they're putting them in the pedestal behind them, and the pedestal behind them is checking the inventory with a comparator and filling up the lights based upon inventory size. So the default upgrade runs about 1 item per second on normal speed. Then the next capacity is 4 items, 8 items, 16 items, 32 items, and 64 items per operation. So capacity, if you're transferring items around, speed is great and all, but this is really what makes a lot of the transferring capabilities of pedestals awesome, is the fact that you can transfer a large capacity at one time as well. So if you mix both capacity and speed together, you can make some pretty insane transferring systems fairly easily, as long as you have the resources to upgrade the pedestals themselves, at which point we'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, just for demonstration here, we have, this is just sending about 1 item every second or so. As you can see, the bar is filling up pretty slow here. So that's pretty slow. This one, just a little bit faster. Again, this is about 4 items per second, so you can see this bar is filling up way quicker than before. We're going to step it up a notch. This is 8 items, so you can see, I mean, obviously it's way, way quicker. 16, so this should fill up the whole thing in about 4 goes, just like that. This is 32 items per send, and as you can see, it took 2 goes to do that. And this is the last one, 64 items at a time. Oh, I didn't click it. There you go. But boom, all at once, 64 items removed and sent over. So that is capacity. Capacity is pretty crazy when you get up to the upper tiers of capacity, and definitely one of my recommendations if you're doing a lot of item transferring. So onward from there, our last 2 enchantments are not added by the Pedestals mod. These are basic vanilla enchantments. Silk Touch and Fortune, because upgrades are not considered Minecraft tools, you can't actually enchant these this way in the enchanting table. You have to use the Anvil upgrade, which will come in a later video. But the Anvil upgrade will allow you to apply enchantments to any item in Minecraft. So this means pedestal upgrades mainly, but also sticks, cobblestone, chicken eggs, whatever item you want to pick up and rename or apply enchantments to, you can in the Anvil upgrade. But the main purpose is for Silk Touch and Fortune. And why I say that is the cobblestone upgrade by default gives you cobblestone, but if you Silk Touch it, it makes stone. And so if you're building with a lot of stone and you don't want to smelt it all, even though you can upgrade your smelter with enchantments to smelt faster and more items at the same time, just having straight stone being generated is so much more helpful. And when you get that Silk Touch pickaxe and start mining with Silk Touch, instead of coming back with cobblestone every trip, you're coming back with stone. And this functions the same way as a cobblestone pedestal, where if you drop stone on it, it will absorb the stone into its inventory, and you can access that later as a bulk storage option. So yeah, that is quite nice as far as storage for stone and cobblestone goes. Next here we have the block breaker upgrade. There's block placers, placing blocks. But the block breaker upgrade, or really any upgrade that breaks blocks, so like the harvester, the chopper, the mushroom chopper, the block breaker, can all be enhanced with Silk Touch or Fortune. Actually, you can put both on at the same time technically, but they don't function at the same time like they don't in Minecraft normally. So, but yeah, there you go. So this one's going to Silk Touch the grass blocks. So boom, as we can see, it's just Silk Touching those grass blocks, just like it should with the Silk Touch. And then this one here, we have some diamond ore that's going to come up after this. And you can see we've broken 2 diamond ore and gotten 6 diamonds out of it. So the Fortune 3 that's been applied to this is most definitely working. So, but yeah, there you go. That is all of the enchantments that pedestal upgrades can handle. There might be more in the future, but as of right now, there's no plans for that to change. So for the most part, your Silk Touch and your Fortune can be applied to your block breaking and block spawning upgrades. And all the other upgrades take your normal pedestal upgrades, capacity, range, and speed. And the tooltip basically decides what can accept what. So transfer rate is usually a light gray color, speed is usually a red color, and range, if I can pull one of these off, is typically in white. There is some exceptions, like the I'm trying to think what they're called. The experience upgrades, for example, their capacity allows them to hold more experience, so that's that light blue color you're seeing in the tooltip. This one does also have affected area as well, so you can see this one has speed, range, and capacity. So this one can accept all 3 enchantments to modify those different levels. So yeah, that's about the only kind of differences there. There might be some other nuances here and there as well. Not all pedestals can accept, you know, all the different upgrades. That's based upon their tooltip. So if the tooltip has a certain color in it, it corresponds to one of the 3 different enchantments you can apply to it. So yeah, that is our enchantments kind of tutorial here today. The video did run a little bit long, but to be honest, these are important enough to actually go over them and cover it. So thank you guys for watching yet again. We will see you in the next one. Have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.